Juliana.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Mia. I'd like to make a request. I work with people online so often, and I always find a big value in seeing people because it creates some togetherness. So if you have the chance, I want to request you to switch on your camera so we can see each other. Hi, Matthias. I see Ad. Hi, Pallavi. Hi, Poha. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you for switching on the video. So I would like to welcome all of you for this session with Stefan. I'm Kunal, and this is part of foundation training in nonviolent communication, which is going to happen in Kerala, India. This particular session is on how we can use nonviolent communication at workplace. And we have Center for Nonviolent Communication Certified Trainer, Stefan, with us. I'll ask him to introduce himself and lead us to the session. Over to you, Stefan.
Thank you, Kunal. I'm excited to see some people that I know who I have met, and also excited about this session. And before we start, it seems that we are here in different time zones. I'd like to ask you to just type into the chat from where you're calling in. That'd be interesting to know. I have some assumptions, but I'd be curious to know more. Wow. And is there anyone who is already registered for Kerala who's coming already? Can you maybe raise your real hand or digital hand? Singapore, Jakarta, Geneva, my God. I guess we have some 8 to 10 different time zones here. Thank you for this. I'm calling in from the Neanderthal in Germany. I'm sure you have heard about the Neanderthal man, and that was found here around the corner. And it was called by this name, but then there were many others found. So I learned that there were hundreds found around the world, of course. My name is Stefan. I'm from Germany, and I learned about NVC when it was 2008. I was 28 years old then. And I came across this book. I had just finished my studies in organizational psychology and organizational sociology. And I was interested in organizations and in humans, and I realized that they work together. And somebody gave me something practical. After all these theories in my studies, I got this book from Marshall Rosenberg, and I read about him traveling around the world and working with people and working on conflict with people. So I was really inspired, and I then decided to go to India, and that's where I stayed for these 15 years, and I'm there very often nowadays as well, and started practicing this nonviolent communication. And I'm curious who of you has no experience with NVC. That'd be interesting to know. Who has never seen something like this? If you can raise your hand or your digital hand, then I have a clue. Okay, we have a number of people here. Fantastic.
It's blurred.
So it's blurred. Just a moment. I'm adjusting. Yeah. Observations, feelings, needs, requests. And this is what typically comes up when people do some research about nonviolent communication, and they want to find out how to use it. And then we have these steps, and we can use it as a method. What I would like to share today is how I use nonviolent communication in the workplace, and also, give some examples how I use this and how I use it in practice. And I want to share a few exercises with you as well, so that you can get a glimpse of what this is about. And then Kunal will tell us more. So I came across this as something that I picked up through books. And then I went to Delhi, and when I was there, it was the early days of the Nonviolent Communication practice group in Delhi. There was a situation that I remember. I came into this practice group, and there was an exercise, and this exercise was about listening in silence, and I had never experienced that. And there was 7 minutes that there was a presence of another person just for me, and I could relax into this, and I could see and feel, wow, there's something shifting here. There's something in what I'm sharing which is being received, and this has a big influence. And we grew that practice group, and it's still active nowadays. I think there's some more than 100 people in the surrounding, and they keep coming. I don't know if anyone is on this call from this practice group in Delhi. And NVC grew in India, and I was also there and part of many events, just like the one in January, the many conventions in India that were very inspiring. And people came together and shared and practiced. And there's a little theory about nonviolent communication, and then there's a lot of experience and practice around it. So I'd like to start with a small practice with you and see how this lands. And for me, nonviolent communication is around coming from a place of tightness, or coming from a place of judging and blaming other people or myself even, to a space of like to a spaciousness around this. So shifting from distraction to an inner spaciousness. And when we can open up, then the world looks different. The world looks different when I'm in a world of judging and being kind of in disconnection with other people, and really kind of insisting on my views and so on. And then I can open up and I can find different perspectives. And I would like to practice this for a moment. And this is around you trying something out. So what I'd like to ask you is to think for a moment about a person and in a situation in your work that bothers you. Think about one situation and a person, that's very important, that bothers you at the workplace. So let's put it in the context of workplace. And you can take a moment. And I would like you to choose an example on the drama scale between 4 and 6 out of 10. So 10 would be something that's really, really difficult. And then if you think about it, you get really, really stressed, or that's too much to think about. And 0 would be something that's really not important and that you don't need to focus on now. So on the drama scale between 4 and 6, please choose a situation and a person that bothers you. For example, in my situation, I recently was in contact with somebody who wanted a number of documents from me to create a contract, which is great. So let's do that. And that person was asking in 4 steps. So another document, please, and please send me this document, and please send that one, and send me this one in a different version. So after some time, I was like kind of starting to form a belief about this person, a sentence that came up, a judgment, like, why are you so unprofessional? Like, why are you not doing this in one go? Why are we wasting our time on this? And this was something from my work world where I got like impatient, and I really couldn't focus anymore on what was important here, but I was stuck in this judgment. And I want to ask you to create from your situation a sentence like this. My sentence is, the judgment in it is, you are so unprofessional. I'd like you to maybe even write it down, one simple sentence that you could think about somebody else, which is a judgmental statement. And you're not courteous. Thank you, Rohit. And you can type it in the chat if you like. We're not going to ask for details or who is this or any history of this, just a judgment we can work with. They are lazy. Somebody is lazy. Thank you, Poha. They are so lazy. What else is coming up for you? Just a judgment that you carry or that you could create. And I sometimes say, if we all knew each other's judgments, we would all be in prison. which is like the world of imagination and judgment is quite big. How can you be so selfish? Yes, thank you. You're so stubborn. Thank you, Anita. I guess that's a classic. You're not mindful. Yes, Mia, if you can turn this around, what are you? Instead of not mindful, you are so egocentric, whatever it is. Somebody is talking so much and never comes to the point. Natalia, thank you. Can you make this shorter, like just a plain judgment about the person? You're so all over the place, or you're so confused, or you're so annoying. Why did you not talk to me? Thank you, Matthias. What could be a judgment coming out of this? You're so selfish, maybe, or you're so self-centered, or you're so scared. You're just so scared. You're so insensitive. Yes, thank you. You're not coherent. Thank you, Joe. You're so discouraging. Yes. You're wasting my time. Beautiful. Okay. So let's play with this a little, and it might be a little bit of torture, but let's play with it. And I would like to ask you to close your eyes and keep repeating this judgment. Like really put it in your head and think of the situation and the person and keep repeating this judgment. So I have this, you are so unprofessional. And keep repeating it, telling yourself, and play with it and be with it. Again and again, so unprofessional, whatever in your case, the judgment is. Keep repeating it. And now make it even bigger. Make it louder. Turn up the volume. So unprofessional, I can't believe it. Like tell it to yourself as if it's really true. Because that's sometimes a story that we hold. You're so unprofessional. You keep repeating your judgment. Make it even stronger, a little torture even. And now stop. And now watch yourself. Watch your body. What's happening here? What about your breath? How's your breath when you keep thinking this? Some comments? Faster. Thank you, Rohit. What else? How's your posture? How do your muscles feel? Body is tighter. Yes. Heavy heart. Thank you. Shoulders shrinking. Yeah. Tense body. Yeah. So the breath typically is flat, like flat breathing. And what this all is pointing at is these are symptoms of stress. It's a classic, right? We are in this world, shallow breath. Thank you. Shallow is the word. Contracted muscles. Yeah. So in this world of belief, in this world of constructing this judgment about a person, it's in my head, on your head, we start sensing this because there's this connection between language and our body and how we experience the world. And that's where NVC is very powerful. So what is at the core always is, of course, not the judgment about the other person, that they're really, I don't know, selfish, or they're really wasting my time, or they are so discouraging, or whatever came up. Of course, they would say that's not the truth. So sometimes we try to prove that this is the truth. But what we're really actually expressing here is universal human needs that we all have. So this judgment comes as a protector or as a protective layer that wants to stand up for something that's important. That's where I find in nonviolent communication, there's the gold. We look at what is behind this and what are some human needs, universal human needs that our system, our body, our mind wants to stand up for. I want to make this really simple and share with you some universal human qualities that are there. And these are some that maybe particularly important in the workplace. There's a bigger list of all this, and this comes from humanistic psychology, that as humans, we are not like animals, we're also not like machines especially. So we have some values and needs behind, and we are born with these, and these are important things for us. These are some qualities. I like to call them qualities because the word need, especially in English, sounds a bit like we're needy and we shouldn't have them maybe, or maybe it's really something to ask for, that we have these needs. But yeah, they are just there once we're born. And I want to ask you, maybe you can type into the chat, what do you identify as the need behind your judgment that you just shared in that situation when you are with other people and some judgment comes up? There's a voice speaking in you, and this wants to stand up for the basic human needs. And what might that be? Here are some examples. Maybe you can type into the chat. And this is what we can do. We can start translating our judgments. Contribution. Mia, maybe you can say a sentence about this.
So my judgment came up when my colleague didn't clean the bathroom after using it.
Okay.
And I was thinking, like, she's so careless and our patients will come into the dirty bathroom and see it. And why is isn't she contributing to our practice, to the well-being of the practice?
Yeah.
I have to clean after her.
Yeah.
I have to do it alone.
Yeah. And I'd love it in a way that it's coming with ease and we can actually be at our best. And when the patients come to us, they have the best experience for their healing, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe Fanny, are you willing to share? I can read honesty from you.
My colleague has been telling lies about me to my boss. So yeah, a lot of judgment came out because of that. So yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Yeah. So there's something speaking up from you that wants to defend or wants to take care. And it's like, I'd like to have the real picture, and I don't want to be judged by other people, especially in the workplace. It might have really big consequences. Something might come out of this. Anyone else who would be willing to share? I can read a few more here. It's just if I just ask everyone who has written something, maybe it might keep people from writing in the future. Rohit, are you willing to share what comes up for you?
Yes, so it's not necessary like a work colleague. I am a self-employed person, so
Yes.
it's a client. She just wrote me an email blocking my calendar without checking with me, and I wanted her to recognize that I may have a busy schedule.
Yes.
We can schedule meetings with a little more collaboration and being courteous about asking the other person whether are you available or not before just dropping an email.
Yes. Thank you. So looking here, a word like collaboration might click, or something like consideration maybe. And I want to point this out here. So often when I learned NVC, it was all about these words and trying to find a connection to these words and how are my needs met in my life and maybe not met and all that. And I was really kind of going through these lists, and I just want to remember that this is just language, and language is just like a really small picture of what's really going on inside. So if we want to communicate it all, the communication is at the end. What happens before is like all our processes, like physical, like our feelings, how we are digesting things, how we are perceiving things, and so on. All that can we actually be clear about what's going on in ourselves? Mostly not. So it's maybe not expect that of other people. And at the same time, it helps us to connect better. And that's what I love this translation for. It translates a judgment into something that's so important, or I sometimes call it the golden nuggets. And it's something we share. Or if you tell me, like, what was your judgment? Not
You're
cautious.
not courteous, yeah.
No, courteous, yeah. So I might start defending myself, like, what do you mean? I always take care of you, and so on. And why don't you just excuse this, and so on. So we end up in a kind of a fighting, or maybe even flight. So somebody withdraws or leaves the organization, or whatever happens. And the translation would just be, it's so important for me that I'm considered. So next time when you do this, could you first ask me? It'd be just a simple sentence to say, but so often it's what comes first is like the going into the judgment and having all that energy there. And Marshall Rosenberg always said, the more ugly the judgments are, the more beautiful is the need behind. Because what we're trying to express here is just something that is so important for me, or for us. And we just all, and that's what I also love about Marshall's picture of it all. That's what really spoke to me. He's describing it as something that is not personal, like something is wrong about you because you're talking in this language or so. He was describing we're all living in such systems, and we've all picked it up as children. And none of us has actually found ways or most of us, of dealing with conflict in a constructive way. It's just the systems that most of us have been born into. Yeah. So what I'd like to do from here is go a step further in this exercise of the judgment. We remember the stress feelings and the symptoms in our body. And I'd like to come to more choice here, and to create more inner spaciousness. And how do we do that? So we can start translating, and I want to offer you some translations here, and then ask you to find your own. And you'll notice a pattern here now in the sentences. So for all these examples that came there, connection, for example, or trust or understanding, or Rohit, in your case, collaboration. I like it when cooperation flows, when there's flow between my colleague and me, and we easily understand each other. That could be understanding. I like it when I'm easily understood. And you see all these sentences start with, I like it when. Is there anything else you notice about these sentences? If you could just speak up, something that you notice about these sentences.
It's about me. It's an I statement.
Yes, thanks for that. I'm taking the responsibility, like I'm taking the sentence to myself. What else? Yes, and I want to go further with this, Annie. It takes out the other person completely. So you don't find the other person there. So I'm not depending on however that person behaves. I'm starting to be clear about what's important for me. And if I'm in this space, it's going to be a different world. So what I'd like you, or what I invite you to do is now take your sentence that you had earlier, your judgment, and turn it around into a sentence that starts with, I like it when. And in this sentence, you leave out the other person. And here are some many examples. If you have an example, could you type into the chat so we can see some examples here. Yes, thank you, Poha. I like it when I can trust you, it says. Of course, sometimes we want to know that people, especially those who are close to us, that we can trust in them. And at the same time, I invite you to leave that other person out for the moment. And in the example here, I like it when I can relax into trusting. So for me, it's relaxing if I can trust. And if I'm not sure what's going to happen and somebody's behaving in a way and I don't know how to respond, or what's going to happen tomorrow, or what they're going to say next week, or what are they going to say about me to my boss, and so on, then there's unease. Still, I want to just come back to what's important for me. Yes, Rohit, I like it when my time and availability is acknowledged. And I suggest you leave out the rest, because that's a not statement that brings us into, maybe again into, yeah, but they are not, others are taking me for granted. And then I'm coming back to that kind of energy. I like it when my workplace is clean and tidy. Yes, thank you. I like it when I can share my ideas knowing I'll be given credit for them. Yes, thank you, Alexandra. So I invite you now to pick one. I like it when knowledge is shared without asking for it. Okay, and what, Matthias, what would that give to you if people do that? I can see you speak, but I can't hear you. Still the same. I like it when there's teamwork. Yeah, Anita, thank you. It's like just working together on some purpose. Technical issue. I like it when there's ease in technology. But I like it when I feel valued, yes. Okay, Fanny, I like it when I can trust my colleagues. Yeah. Yeah. I like it when I guess it's around safety also, no? I like it when I know I'm safe and I can relax. Because still there are other people involved here. And I'm kind of staying with this and asking again, because it really makes a difference if I create other people in what's important for me, then there's some sort of, and let's say it this way around, it's maybe more empowering if I can create that myself, and if I can rely on myself and the needs behind, and I can take care of them, rather than always believing, okay, when I can't trust in that person, I'm not going to experience trust in my world. Because in a total picture, all these qualities and needs are also there, even if other people don't exist. I like it when everyone shares and comes up with ideas. Thank you, Santosh. So that, I guess, gives you some creativity or some joy of exploring together and creating something together, possibly. Okay, so back to the exercise. Let's close it. And I'd like to ask you once again to close your eyes and keep repeating the I like it statement. I like it when. I like it when I'm seen. I like it when I'm recognized. I like it when I'm understood easily. And in my case, I like it when communication is easy. Maybe it's not the case here, but I just want to remind myself what is so important. I like it when communication is easy. And keep repeating that sentence now and stay with it for some time. And let it really sink in. I like it when. And keep repeating it again and again. I like it when there's cleanliness in my surroundings. I like it when there's ease in communication. I like it when I can trust and relax into that. So let's hear a few voices. What happens when you're on this planet? If you can just speak up. Poha.
I can feel my body getting lighter, just thinking
Yes.
how should I say.
Yes. Yes, relaxing into it. What else? Feeling relaxed, yes. Thank you.
I can feel my body, there's softness into it.
Thank you, Anita. Yeah. Pleasant positivity. Yeah. Thank you for positivity. Because sometimes people, I do this a lot in workplaces and with people in leadership functions. And sometimes they say something like, oh, I got the trick. It's about positive thinking, and it's really about creating something that's not there, but you then believe it's there. And I'm like, yeah, maybe part of it is powerful, but what I'm aiming at here is nothing in the surrounding is changing, and I'm still connecting to what was bothering me before. And it's just what is so important for me. Where I want to use this for, what I want to use this for is to create a space where I can decide differently. Rather than, yeah, hooray, I'm super positive about everything. I like it when I can relax because I understand what is needed. Thank you, Miriam. Sounds like a in the moment experience, in this moment experience. I could connect it to that, definitely. Yes, so this is one example of how NVC can create more spaciousness. It's an inner process, of course, of rethinking my thoughts, and not only rethinking, but really connecting to why is this so important, and what part in me is wanting to take care of me, and what's coming there. So how do I use this? I like also, but I work in organizations, and for example, use nonviolent communication a lot to convey messages between people who are working in a team and their managers, for example. There's a feedback procedure that I facilitate, and it becomes very, very helpful because giving feedback is something that's really sometimes scary for people to hear, especially if they're in the manager position and their team is giving feedback, which is moderated. So somebody will definitely listen to what they say. And this power difference for a moment then becomes a bit softened, and people can actually convey, and then it might become challenging to hear what they actually say if they speak the truth. So what it really helps with is that I sit with the group separately and I collect the feedback, and we start translating what's so important for them into statements like this. This is important, and then also make requests out of this. And coming back to the basics of nonviolent communication, once again, in these 4 steps, just for those who are not so familiar with them, the first step is about describing, like an observation, what can we hear and see? And instead of a judgment, or an interpretation, sometimes, for example, it's also the other way around. Let's say somebody gives feedback on performance and says, Rohit, can I pick you just for the fun of it? Rohit, you know, I've really seen you being less motivated in the last 3 months. And the person on Rohit would likely be like, how do you get to that idea? Why is that? And would start defending yourself. And I actually want to get across that I'm not happy with your performance, but how do I do that in a way that I can reach you? So can I describe more what I mean? Maybe I've seen you come to the office later than earlier, or I've seen in the work results, I've seen certain things. So can I name them so that Rohit knows, aha, I can do something about it. I'm not just sitting here with this interpretation and judgment. I have to fight against it. But aha, now I'm ready to receive what you're saying, because you're describing what is there rather than judging me or interpretation. And maybe this sounds very, very simple here. And at the same time, I would say this is the reason for 80 to 90% of misunderstandings and even conflict, is that people express themselves in a judgmental or like an interpretation, judgmental way, or interpretations, like assuming things rather than just describing them. And the second step is about what do we actually experience as feelings, and especially in the workplace, of course, feelings are something that are not expected to be dealt with. And at the same time, we have to do with humans. So what do we do about it? And if we feel really disappointed by your leadership, and if we feel really disconnected from working with you, that's an issue for us. And we would like to express what's underneath, what are the needs, the qualities, what we've just seen, what's important. And then also make specific requests, like, can you check in with us in the morning when you enter the office? And feedback I often have is like a personal thing about like personality, like in the morning we can't talk to you because you're silent for 1.5 hours and you just come to the office. sometimes like a ghost or so, and we'd like to get this across to you, but how do we do this? So NVC is so helpful in becoming more clear or clearer about what's important and how do we actually make suggestions and requests how to change that. This is how these 4 steps can be applied in the workplace with an example. And Kunal, we have a few more minutes, is that right? How many minutes more?
For you, 3 more minutes and then I can take over.
3. Okay. So what often comes then, okay, if I practice this enough, especially in my leadership function, I can actually start getting what I want. And of course, that could be an aspect here to get what I want. But the thing is, and that's what I also really enjoy about nonviolent communication, it's not only a technique or these 4 steps. If I use them properly, like I describe, Rohit, I have seen you writing your reports in this way, and I feel really disappointed about it. And my need is for more clarity and efficiency. So I request you to do it in a different way. And if I do this in perfect NVC, then I get what I want. So that's sometimes the hope, or that's what people kind of cling to, and they say, okay, now I have done it in that way, but it doesn't work because the person doesn't respond. So there's, of course, what I sometimes call a school book NVC. It might be grammatically very correct, or even in the understanding of what nonviolent communication is. But if I'm not ready to really look behind and consider your needs as well, what's important for you? I might start with some questions to Rohit and ask him, how have you been and what's going on? So I can start listening. I can start really hearing what's important for you. Then we can start connecting much better, and we get to results that everyone can agree to and carry. And I don't know if it sounds really simple to you. In theory, I guess it's really simple. And at the same time, if we look into what's happening in human relationships, and also, of course, at the workplace, it's always the same thing. So what we can actually start doing is we can see the world from a different perspective and start observing when noticing that there's judgment and blame. So I can become more conscious about what is actually going on in my head and in my belief about other people and even myself, and come back to the facts. Really see, okay, this is what I've seen, this is what I've heard, and this is what I want to convey. And then also, when we are stuck, sensing that we are stuck in some communication, in some relationships at work, to start feeling, what does that feel like? And can I really show myself with this? And can I get to a level where then on this basis, I can recognize and allow the underlying needs? So what's really important for people, the examples you have seen. And here is a distinction. Let's recognize and allow the needs when everything is focused on preferences and blind action. So often, especially at the workplace, where everything has to be fast, where everything needs to be decided quickly, we start losing the why, the purpose. And the purpose is always to do with human needs. We want to contribute. We want to create something. We want to change something. We want to have an output that makes a difference. And so often we are stuck in things that we have already been doing before, or that have been established as a preference, or we need to do something because we need to do something. Very often it's expected even of the managers, the leaders, to know answers and go into action. And NVC and this translation here allows us to look into a different level once again. What's so important? Why are we doing this? And can we then, and that's the 4th step, make some clear and promising requests around it? And so often requests are like, Rohit, I want you to show more responsibility, like very vague things that people are asking. Can we be more specific? And that's another huge misunderstanding I find in this world. People are just asking other people to feel in a different way. I want you to feel confident. I want you to be more connected with the team, or I want you to go out and like close more deals and be just closer to the client or something like that. And the clearer we become about what we're asking of other people, the more likely it will be that we get a response that will take us somewhere instead of staying stuck. Okay, I want to stop here. I hope you got some idea of how NVC can actually be used in the workplace. And I'm aware that we have some time later on also for some questions or some inputs or something that you'd like to bring in here. Kunal.
Yeah. Thank you, Stefan, for the wonderful exercise. We still have 15 minutes for question and answer. And before we go to question and answer, I would want to, I would want you, all of you, to watch this wonderful video we have created for the upcoming foundation training, where Stefan is also going to be one of the trainers. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, here is it. It's just a short 2-minute video.
Every heart carries stories, some spoken, some silent. Most of us were taught to talk, not to truly listen. We learn to hold things in, to smile through our pain, forgetting what it feels like to be fully seen. That's why we gather to create spaces where it's safe to speak, safe to listen, and safe to just be.
And for nearly 3 decades, I've been walking alongside parents and child-focused professionals, helping them understand better themselves and find more calm in the chaos of life through the practices of nonviolent communication.
It's remembering what it means to be human together, where conversations heal, presence nourishes, and love becomes action.
I'm going to offer ways to meet our uncomfortable emotions, understand them, and turning them into allies in our path.
In a world full of noise and disconnection, we come together to slow down.
My offerings will have a particular focus on nonviolent communication in the workplace, leadership, collaboration in teams, and also holding difficult conversations.
In Kerala, a land of timeless beauty and quiet transformation, the earth itself invites us home to what truly matters.
I support people to transform their relationships with themselves and with each other, whether it's at home or at work or in their communities, one conversation at a time.
Join us for the Foundation Training Retreat, a space we co-create together where it's safe to learn, safe to feel, and safe to simply be.
So this is the program we were referring to, 5 days of connection, healing, and learning. This is going to happen in Kerala. And we have Stefan, Stephanie, Mansi, and Vega as trainer for this program. And we have an early bird discount going on, which is going to end in 4 days. So if you like this session, if you want to experience Stefan and other trainers in person along with 80-90 people, you are welcome to register. And now I would want to invite all of you for any questions related to program, or if you have any other questions related to this particular webinar, NVC in Workplace, please raise your hand or a virtual hand and we can take that questions. Thank you. Yes, Rohit.
Hi, this question is for Stefan and Kunal, both of you. So I am in the facilitation business and I'm also a coach. And my aspiration with NVC is that once I apply it on myself, I would like to apply it, offer this as a service to my clients, right? So
yes,
how would that journey look like for me? If you could just paint that for me.
Thank you. What I've noticed is the more NVC people learn, like I've seen many over the years, picking it up and using and then kind of incorporating it, the more facilitation skills they have, because they just get antennas for everyone's needs and also language to express it and to hear it from people. And I've done many trainings where I worked with facilitators who are already in facilitating positions or trainers to work on the language that can reach people better. When working with people in live sessions, when they show themselves in live sessions, is different from trainings even. So in facilitation, or in German, we have this word moderation for that, to really reach people. And it takes some practice. And yeah, I just see that happening. The more NVC we practice and exchange, the more it gives us a feeling and sense for groups also, and the skills to name what's present. I think that's a key skill here, to name in groups what's present and to bring it on the table. And some things that are really gaining in depth are moments where people show themselves, and it's maybe even awkward for people, and they show their emotions or something, and we can then respond to that and hold that and bring it into the group. And I do a lot of team building, for example. I don't know exactly in what field you work. These are big chances to create connection between people when there's honesty, when there's something that is shared, and rather than saying, oh, somebody is sad, or we give them tissue paper and then we just go to the next point or something, to really stay with it and use that as an opportunity to connect the group better. And of course, in facilitating conflict, it's just really, really powerful. Does that give you some picture, Rohit? Thank you.
And because we're talking about becoming trainers, I see this question in the chat. So just to clarify, this is not an IIT, this is a foundation training in nonviolent communication. IIT is an intensive training in nonviolent communication. There is a difference. So then intensive training in nonviolent communication is a 9-day program designed for intermediate and advanced practitioner, whereas this particular program which is happening in Kerala is a 5-day foundation training designed for basic and intermediate practitioner who wants to work on NVC foundations. Both 9-day program and this one 5-day program counts towards the certification days. You need minimum 20 days to register for certification journey, and both of this program count towards these days. And any other program which is like a multi-day residential program with CNVC certified trainers counts towards it. Counts the days are counted for this certification journey. Anything else you want to add, Stefan?
I think that was clear.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing, each trainer are gonna have one of the tracks which they're gonna focus on in this particular foundation training. And for Stefan, the track would be NVC in workplace. And you had seen a glimpse of it in this particular webinar for 1 hour. And probably, Stefan, you would want to elaborate on what are the things you're gonna cover and what kind of how people would get benefited by your track.
Yeah, so I guess what's different in the workplace is that people are not going to NVC practice groups, and they're not going there with the awareness, oh, I'd like to learn more about my needs, and I'm totally open and I can show myself, or want to learn it at least. And then I meet people who want to practice this, and they say, okay, let's talk about needs. And what I'm hearing from you is that for you, it's really important to see some contribution happening, and they kind of have this empathic way of listening to each other, and they come together for this purpose. In the workplace, so often I work mostly with people who don't want to learn NVC. So who would like to, like if I ask them, would you like to learn nonviolent communication? Like what? Nonviolent communication? I'm not violent. So that's a typical response. And I have to get things done. So I'd like to find a way of being more practical and get what I need in my workplace. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So if I ask people, would you like to really be able to listen to others with deep empathy and with your fully open heart and really receive what's so important for them and so on? They're like, I'm not at my workplace for this purpose. I think that's quite convincing now. So what we work with is a translation. Would you like to learn ways of reaching your team members with more clarity, or express what's important for you so you can follow your own path in what you want to create. And you don't have to depend on the others all the time, but you can be very clear in what you want to express. Yeah, of course I want to learn that. Would you like to learn ways of getting along in situations where there's conflict and want to find a collaborative solutions for that? Yeah, of course I want to learn that. So what we're going to focus on is a language that can connect even in the workplace, where people are not ready to give half an hour of their time to listen deeply with their heart, but where it needs some context-related language translation of NVC, which can work. And a big part of this is what I call needs in context. For example, instead of saying, in my team, I have a need for safety and belonging, which will be NVC words or needs words, I would say something like, when I come to the workplace, I want to know it's not just about running behind some goals, but I really feel comfortable and I can hang out with you guys. And it's really also enjoyable to be here. Okay, there'll be a language that clicks with people. It says the same thing. It's just, we will, for example, practice how to make this all fluent and how we can work with this. Yeah, that can connect in a world where people are not there to learn giraffe language. And if you come with the animals of, maybe you know a jackal and giraffe, in German it's Wolf and Giraffe. If you come with those guys, then it's like, wow, is this a playground or what are we talking about? So it's also about how to use NVC in these surroundings where it's not super welcome, like in a working space. And one trainer brought it once in a really cool presentation. I remember saying, what do we typically do? We find that NVC is somewhat helpful. We find a practice group. We start practicing it. We start practicing it in NVC bubbles. And then we learn more. And then we want to become trainers. And then we learn even more. And then we start sharing. And sharing is so exciting. And what do? Have we ever done this in the real world? So what I loved about training trainers was that they have brought it into their kindergartens, into their schools, into their surroundings, into their organizations. I really find that exciting, where people really use it. Let's call it combat zone in challenging places where the world around does not speak or want to learn nonviolent communication. Done.
So is it safe to say that you want to teach non-violent communication to people who don't want to learn non-violence, but they really need it? And they could really use it?
Well, I shared in these surroundings because people, what they need is an approach or some understanding or even tools to do things differently. And I don't call it nonviolent communication most of the time. Maybe after some time I refer to Marshall Rosenberg and where this comes from. And the word is so often in the way, non-violence. I mean, in India, it has even a very different understanding, much more positive. In Germany, if you come with gewaltfrei, or is art still here? In Dutch, it's also a funny word. People are like, what? Are you saying that I'm a violent person? And they miss the point of, yeah, actually, we all speak a language that doesn't connect. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation, Stefan.
Yeah, sure.
Any other questions related to the program or the webinar?
Hi.
I'm reading from Umesh here. Yes, Umesh, thank you.
I have sore throat, so I can't speak very clearly.
All right.
I've typed it out. So, but let me see. I have gone to 2 IITs and 1 convention. Okay. Thing is, okay, I had difficulty explaining it. And it's like, are you violent? Okay. And that led to a whole bunch of conversations, okay, in workplace. Okay. And right now also, today only I'm told my manager, because there is a very tight timeline project, okay, going on, okay. And how do I explain that, okay, whatever I'm doing will actually benefit me in my work, okay. It's very hard to explain, okay. Okay, they think, if you have issues, in relations and all, that means you are not up for the company, actually, okay. So I'm very happy. I didn't know beforehand that, okay, you were actually offering a track on workplace. Okay. And I Googled you out. I don't see much on the workplace front either. So do you have anything, okay, which I can actually bring in? Okay.
What's your goal? You want to tell people that you're taking a lot of benefit out of this and this could be used and you want to share it with them?
I want to learn how NVC can be used in workplaces. Okay. Some of the trainers offer trainings to corporates, including Ranjita. Okay. But I haven't experienced that. Okay. And of course, I want to taking 60 hours out, okay, in a critical project. That requires me to put proper explanation to the manager. Okay. So do you have anything, okay, that is along those lines?
So what comes to me in translating it to people who don't want to hear about this or don't want to learn, but they could really benefit. That's what I'm getting from you. You imagine they could really benefit if they have some knowledge about this. Is that what you're saying?
They could benefit, okay, but I have, if they see benefit in me, okay,
would you like them to understand that when you go to these trainings, you're benefiting from this and this?
It will benefit me. It will benefit the team.
Are they going to sponsor you for that even? Is that what you're aiming?
I pay my own. I only leaves.
Okay. And you want them to not have a picture of you as the person who goes for these trainings because he needs a self-help group and has some trouble.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm getting you.
By the way, that is true. Okay. I do have issues in my personal relationships. Okay. Especially.
So suggestion, have a conversation with people and talk about challenges that they face. Because if we ask people like, is everything is going great or what is challenging for you, they might open up and say, it's of course not easy. They say, yes, but then I do this. Okay, and then you might ask them, you might get into a conversation and then just listen to them and reflect back to them with your NVC skills, what you're hearing. And my experience is that people start opening up and they start sharing. And when you can create this connection, there might be a space where they might become curious about your experience. Going somewhere, and I very well remember because in India there was hardly any training in 2010 when I started. There was Laura in Oroville, and Marshall had come to India twice, but then he didn't travel anymore. And I remember going out very early and sharing NVC, and I was sharing it in a way, telling people, hey, I got the solution. This is how the world should function. And what everyone heard was like, there's a new way of speaking, and you have to speak this way. So if I want to share my excitement about it, I might share some examples, but what helps even more or connects me even more is to ask for other people's challenges and to practice NVC with them. And then they get curious. How do you do this? Sometimes I had people who said, like, I'm sitting in a session and I'm just translating what they're saying. They say, can I hire you for this? I said, yeah, sure. You're just putting into some words exactly what I want to express. It sounds so easy when you do that. And I say, yeah, I have 17 years of experience now. So if you practice it with them and you listen to them empathically and you reflect back to them what you're hearing, my experience is in most of the cases, people open up more and then you get a conversation and they get curious. How do you do all this? Why do you understand me so easily? I don't know. Does that give you some idea, Umesh?
It gives, again, it is a chicken and egg problem. Yeah. I'm
sorry. I have trouble hearing you.
No, that's because I have sore throat.
Yes.
So it does, again, but it is just that, again, there are so few instances, okay, of that, okay, happening that it is very difficult. Okay. I think, okay, some of the people have much more emotional maturity than I do. Okay.
Yes.
At least not here, in this one, my peer, I think. Okay, anyway. Okay. So that's the big challenge, but you are saying, okay, that's the only way. Okay, what I'm hearing is that's the only way.
There might be many more ways. When I read your last sentence, I need leaves for that. You mean some material or something?
No.
What does it mean?
I have to put leaves. I have to go away from work for 6 days, okay, in a critical period.
Oh, leaves. You need to. Okay.
That's
now I'm getting. You're taking leaves.
Yeah, I have always found even if you have leaves, okay, you can't take leaves, okay, during critical period.
Okay.
If you do that, that's a recipe for getting fired.
Okay.
And I have paid twice with that.
And you might even be considering coming for the Kerala training, and then you thinking of what's going to happen. Okay, yeah. Maybe. Yes. Yeah. Maybe we can, because I'd love to respond to another question as well. Maybe we can you write to me, and then we can continue this conversation?
Yes.
Because I can see maybe there's some ideas coming up. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kunal? Anyone else?
I think we'll take Rachna last, and then we'll end this session.
Hi, Stefan. Thank you so much for the wonderful session.
Hi, Rachna.
So I have been reading about Marshall Rosenberg and hearing him I have not done it too much of details, but yes, I've worked in corporate for 10 years, but then I took a break and now I'm more into my entrepreneur journey as a health coach. And I somewhere felt that the need for a nonviolent communication for my own self, and also while if I start my own journey of entrepreneur, and how do this training will help me, because I sometimes I feel that maybe I should read Marshall Rosenberg in depth with the book, and how this will be more relatable for me if I come for a 5 days training, or is it there is an IIT also. I don't know, like, because I was very and I'm interested, like, being understanding this concept for a few years, but in depth, I couldn't get that time to really practice and understand it more. So,
So you're now asking how to practice it most and what benefits it will have. How to
yeah, I want
practice
to
it best?
practice this, but then is like how this particularly 5 days course will be beneficial. Yeah.
Have you ever been in a community where people practice with each other, NVC? Or they're just
No.
NVC informed, let's say?
No, I mostly have read about it on the, on the internet, and some of them.
Okay. Yeah. Because what I was describing in the beginning maybe wasn't, I would have liked to be clearer, I guess, was that I had read many books, and when I went to a practice group, it was so different. It was like experiencing what was described. I was like, okay, this is about connecting with people. So it's really between people, and there's some magic happening because we are meeting each other on a much deeper level than I could imagine. That was a big reason why I learned NVC, because I could see I had this longing for deep relationships with people, with friends, with partners. It's like, can I actually show myself? Can I actually learn about them? And when you say you're in the health coaching, I can so clearly see a huge connection between how am I speaking with myself, how am I allowing my human needs in this world to do with how my body is and how my body reacts and how my health is. So it's kind of a not only a mental health, I would say, it's really about learning that human needs are okay. Because at some point in life, most of us have been told that they're not okay. They're not okay now. And if you move in class, you shouldn't do that. And if you want to eat that thing, you shouldn't have that need. And if you want to go for your dreams, you shouldn't do that. So we start having an inner dialogue that becomes against what we actually would like to do. And I guess whenever it's about health effects, that is something that is at the core of all the illnesses. Maybe that's one thing that's connecting. And when you ask what will this event do, I would say it's a world of difference. What I experienced in all the conventions, and I found them even more inspiring in India, I've attended, I don't know, 7 or 8, than the IIT in Germany, for example. I did the IIT in 2012, and then I came to one of the first conventions in India. It's like, wow, there's so much more depth because people come from so many different backgrounds. And there was every conversation that I had in these events was just like, oh, I've reached in a community where I'm understood. and where there's space for needs. And the whole room and the whole event was held in a way that there's space for people to express, to learn, to make requests, to deepen. So these events are just something that is a very different world from just reading. And I see some people nodding. Han, do you have an experience of such an event?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to 3 IITs. Just came back from one last week. And yeah, it's amazing, the experience. It's like, imagine the whole world is living NVC, how it like. Yeah, that's the kind of experience you get in a residential program. And yeah, it's quite special.
It's what Marshall Rosenberg called giraffe juice. It's the connection and the magic that's felt. Rachana, I don't know, does that give you a response that you were looking for?
Yes, somewhat. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you so much for the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachana. What the metaphor which came to my mind is like reading about campfire on a book and then sitting in the campfire, like around the campfire with friends. Like the experience of sitting there versus reading about it on the book. It's same, but it's different. So the purpose of this foundation training is to really create a space where we can, practice this, make mistakes, learn from each other, and experience the community together. Yeah, you all are very invited to come and join us. With this, we would like to end today's webinar. There is one question. Do you deliver one-time virtual session for the teams? I think this is for you, Stefan.
To deliver one-time virtual sessions for the teams. Rupal, you're asking me if that's part of what I do?
Yes. Actually, I'm in London and I work for National Health Services. So I was just checking if you deliver sessions to the, like hospitals or NHS trust or something like that.
Yes, in many contexts. And I'd like to make it special around the experiences that people have at their workplace and in the context that they work in. If you like, we can connect and we can discuss it more.
Yeah, sure. That'll be great. Can I have your contact details, please? Thank you.
I'm just writing my WhatsApp number here. Does that work?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And then my email address as well.
Great. Thank you.
It's an Indian number for WhatsApp because I still have WhatsApp in India.
Great. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan, for this wonderful session and giving us insight of what you're going to share in the foundation training. Thank you, everyone, for joining and hope to see some of you in Kerala. Bye-bye.
Yes, please. Hope to see many of you in Kerala.
Sure.
Bye.
Thanks.
Have a beautiful day. Ciao.
Ciao.